Welcome back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the not funny show, Supercast. The Supercast, where we talk about all things superhero and our pop media, and that's, of course, TV, movies, video games, and we talk about news and we do some speculation, all that good nerdy stuff. I am Mode Poupée, your resident fabricant and comic extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Ladi. Ladi, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man.
I know
Ready to talk
you're
about this?
yeah, but I know you're feeling really good because your team uh, did did something big.
Oh yeah.
In the sports ball, they kicked the field goal. They kicked a home run and won the big game. So, but let's get back to the actually important thing. That is, of course, men in tights flying around and shooting lasers at each other, aka superheroes. Uh, it's a dude. Let me actually before we get into that, what a time to be a nerd. Am I right? Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous how much stuff is going on right now. There's if you had told me 20 years ago that I'd be watching Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Marvel, and some Star Wars is about to come out, and there's like, all this superhero stuff. It's crazy. It's nuts. So good time to be a nerd. So I don't understand why there's so much belly aching going on in fandom right now. I mean, I do understand, but it's still some bullshit. Y'all be happy. We're getting a lot of stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox about that. Let's talk about superhero stuff. We're gonna, as we always do, cover the news, what's happening in the world of superhero stuff. And not it's kind of a slow week because D23 is coming up this weekend, and we're in the midst of She-Hulk, and we're waiting on some other stuff to start going. But we do have a few things to talk about. For instance, we're going to talk about the Thunderbolts and what role Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova could be playing in that upcoming movie. We talk once again. We're going to talk about Leticia Wright and how her controversial actions, how they affected Marvel. Chadwick Boseman is honored by the Emmys. We're going to talk about what he got the Emmy for, and talk about his impact in that role. SpiderMan Lotus was a fan project that got derailed because of the leaders being crappy people, but that we did get to see seeing their VFX, from the cancel project. So we'll talk about that. Batman the Animated Series. We looked back at that briefly on its 30th anniversary, and there's a big old controversy about a big old booty, big old green booty. We're talking She-Hulk, of course, and why people are flipping their wigs about it. So all of that in this episode, the 67th episode of the Supercast. So Ladi, let's just jump into this. Let's get into it. Ladi, is it fair to say that you're a big fan of Yelena from Black Widow and from Hawkeye?
Oh yeah. Definitely. I'm definitely a fanboy.
Are you a stan? Would you say you're a stan of Yelena?
Man.
To be fair, first of all, um, Yelena's a great character. To me, my favorite character in Black Widow, and loved Yelena and Kate Bishop and their interactions in Hawkeye. Great, absolutely great. Uh, Florence Pugh, one of my favorite actors working right now. I think she's great. I think she's super talented. Obviously, she looks great in the role. She does, she makes me believe that she's Yelena. So I absolutely am a huge fan of hers, and just like you. So, what's this related to? So we got the Thunderbolts movie come up, and of course, her name has been floated because, the count what Contessa whatever her name is. What's her last name? The Contessa whatever. She's obviously probably going to be the one that runs this team, and Yelena works for her. So of course Yelena's name is in the running. But we hear that maybe it's not just that she's going to be in the Thunderbolts; that they're setting her up to actually lead the Thunderbolts, to be the where in the comics Baron Zemo would have been, but in this case she would actually be the runner, and which I find very interesting, but also very awesome because I mean, obviously Yelena should be running. She should be big and in big front and center on stuff. It's she's been kind of a side character in a couple things. It's time for her to step up and be like a lead. Ladi, you hear this, this idea that this could be happening. What do you think? And is this something you want?
I'm gonna see to see the Thunderbolts in the movie. So here's my thing: is there an I don't I almost want to say I'd rather see this as a TV show.
Oh, it's definitely a movie, Bob. Though.
Yeah. I know it's a movie, but it's like I'm thinking of Yelena, who she is, because I don't know much about the Thunderbolts. I
Well,
mean,
look at it. Look at Thunderbolts as quick and easy, a Marvel Suicide Squad. There you go. Essentially, but in this case, there won't be a bunch of like criminals, but they are very much, they're not quote heroes, if you will. And I will also say this is definitely going to be. This has to be a movie if Elena's in it because, to be quite honest, Florence Pugh is a movie star.
so Abomination is a part of the
He
Thunderbolts.
could be. We don't know yet, but
Oh yeah, he's
he very
definitely
well
going to be a
could be.
part. And then I see old dude is going to be there as well. So yeah, okay. Now seeing this, yeah, I can see this being a movie. Okay,
And
this might be.
Yelena being the lead. That's what I'm really like. I'm really stuck on.
Are they going to get James Gunn to do it?
I mean, that would be cool, but I actually want to see somebody else take a stab at it. I mean, honestly, who doesn't want this? I'm serious. Oh,
Mhm.
I could tell you who doesn't want this, but lame ass dudes that can't stand a badass woman, running the show. I don't care about their stupid ass opinion. That honestly, because she's just so good. She's proven she's a badass. She can she can kick ass. She can work in a team and all that other stuff. And honestly, why the hell wouldn't you want to see more Florence Pugh in the MCU? Who are these people that don't want to see more of her? Man, on the real. So I mean, I think it's a great idea, and I hope they actually follow through on it. The great thing is that Marvel is definitely following through. They don't give a damn about what these haters and their these sad sack losers on the internet that cry every time a woman gets some kind of lead role. They don't care about them. They're doing their thing. So I really hope this is real and true. But I don't know. I guess we'll let you guys know when this is actually comes to light. Unfortunately, Thunderbolts is I think it's 2 years away from now. So we got a little time before we actually get more information about this. But we'll let you know. Let's talk about. I feel like we're always talking about some controversial figure in comic book stuff. Last week it was Ezra Miller. This week we're going to talk about Leticia Wright. You remember, was it last year and earlier this year we were giving her the business? I think it was last year for all of her anti-vax foolishness. Uh, well, apparently, it's having some effect on her career, but also it was a big old pain in the butt for Marvel. It's maybe not as much as Ezra Miller is a pain in the butt for DC. But apparently, it's kind of a big pain in their butt. We know that her getting injured on set that set back production, but also her anti-vax thing. She didn't want to get vaxxed or anything. Apparently, that did have some effect on production as well. If not for no other reason, having to come back to the country to finish filming after her injury and everything. And no, they weren't very happy about having to deal with all of that. Lottie, I mean, we were saying this is some shit that was going on, but like, is it a surprise to you at all that that this is coming to light, that in fact it is something that was like a serious deal to them? At
I don't
Marvel?
I don't get it. I don't get what Disney is doing. Like, so she's pretty much all but confirmed to be the next Black Panther. Why are you leaking information like this? It's that's the thing that I just like. For example, I don't know, because now some people are trying to say, is she Marvel's Ezra Miller? No, she's not doing anything illegal. She might say some stuff that you don't agree with, or she might be a pain on the studios, but she's not a bad person. So it's like, you clearly want her to be the next Black Panther, but then what what's this? You know what I mean? Like, what is this? You,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? It's like, I don't understand it, because it's like, because good example. I heard there was stuff about what's her name not getting along with the woman who plays Gamora not getting along with Chris Pratt. There was like rumors of them. That's one of the reasons why it took so long for them to make a Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And but guess what? They nipped that in the bud really quickly. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Hmm.
And why is this still? She's supposed to be Black Panther. This is not like she's a side character. She's supposed to be Black Panther, and this is still coming out. Either she's really doing some stuff that is like really bad, or I just is somebody in Marvel wanting her gone while other people don't. Like, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Well, if anything, I think that you know, I think this kind of shows that at Marvel, they've got a pretty good whip cracking system, because like, her going to England to recover from her injury, and then the could she come back, etc., because of her vaccine. You notice we hadn't heard a fuck thing about it. She just got back, and
Yeah.
she got back to work and everything like that. That she didn't say nothing else. She didn't act like Gina Carano and keep on running her fucking mouth. She just shut up. You notice she shut up real. All of a sudden, it was like, ooh, bam, nothing else happening, right?
Yeah.
Had nothing else to say about it. The only thing she had to talk about was working on set and how good it was to be back to work. And, we're going to honor Chadwick and so forth. That's all you've heard. Not a word about vaccinations or anything else like that. It's almost as if they've got discipline over at Marvel. Now, to be fair, this whole bit that we're talking about is some Hollywood an insider talking about not just Marvel, but also about her, her star, failing, if you will, in Hollywood because of being a controversial figure. Because surprise, I know some people are like, it's a free speech thing. You're right, it is a free speech thing. And whose free speech it is? The people that don't have to fucking hire her. That's their free speech right to not hire somebody who's gonna be a big old pain in the ass. You know?
Yeah.
And so I would like to think that she's learned her lesson, and yes, she has the right to free speech. She just doesn't have a right to a job. She don't have a right to. She's not entitled to the job of Shuri or any role at all in Hollywood. And those nobody has to hire her. Nobody has to put up with her shit. You know, and they won't if she's too much trouble. There is now. I will also note. I'll take a step back and say that there is another little wrinkle to this, which is, I imagine she has a little bit more scrutiny than, you know, an Ezra. Ezra Miller gets to do all this other stuff. There's a bit of, people like, why does he get to do all that? Well, you know why. You know why? Because there's a part of it is because when you're a minority, it's a lot easier to get sort of labeled as troublesome or whatever than it is if you are not. So, which is
Yeah.
part of the reason why, like, I don't like riding her about this, even though I still think she's being a freaking idiot about it. But also, recognizing that it's easy to, as a black female in Hollywood, to get sort of labeled something, and then it kind of follows you. So when you are standing up for whatever you're right, for what you think is right, you have to keep that in mind. And if you care enough about it, I guess you got to do it. But in this case, I think she may have shot herself in the foot for something stupid. um, that being said, hey, she's still in Black Panther 2 for the foreseeable future. I imagine she's going to be in the MCU. Maybe some opportunities are that they were thinking about for her aren't necessarily going to be there, but she seems to be back in line. So we shall see. But it's something to note. Like, this is a lesson learned from people. Like, know your value, and also know how far you can push it. And don't drop the bag. Don't fumble the bag, y'all. Anyway, good luck to Leticia Wright, though. I actually do want to see her do well. It's just don't mess it up for yourself. Anyway, we're moving on to something nicer. Speaking of Chadwick Boseman, Chadwick Boseman was awarded an Emmy for his role in Marvel's What If. We've talked about it before. I thought I loved his episode of What If, where he was Star Lord. I did like seeing him throughout the series, especially he came to that same character played a pivotal role later on in at the end of the season. I thought it just overall, especially knowing that it was his last MCU role, it was something special about it. And apparently, the voters for the Emmys also thought so, because he is now posthumously awarded the Emmy for outstanding character voiceover performance. And all I can say is awesome. It's great. It's great. I guess we had to give him his flowers. After he's gone, let's give the man his flowers and really celebrate his performance. So, Lottie, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm happy. May your soul rest in peace, man. You know, happy that he won it. Definitely deserved it. Did a really, really good job playing Black Panther, live action and voiceover. So,
And playing a different but still similar Black
yeah,
Panther too. I think it's really a tip of the hat to him, but also to the people at What If for having a really good idea and giving him something very good to work on. It's I'm even looking at this picture, and I'm like, it kind of hits, it kind of hits a little different. Just seeing that, seeing him on, the animated version of him, and knowing that he put he put as much effort into that as he did into playing T'Challa live action. So very well deserved. Glad to hear that they honored him that way. And also, hats off to Marvel for getting that Emmy win. uh, well, Lottie, so this Spider-Man Lotus, I don't think you had heard about it before I mentioned it to you, but it was a kind of bit of a controversy a few months ago. It was a fan film that had, they had pretty decently well financed. They had some people who worked in professionally working on this thing. And it got canceled because, allegations of racism or whatever from a couple people, like the founder of the project and so forth. And essentially it got, the whole discourse and everything around it was poisoned because of that foolishness. And so a lot of hard work that went into it more or less just went down the can. And, a lot of people are like, oh, that sucks. I really wanted to see it. And people like me were just like, it's just a damn fan film. Like it's well, it's fine if we don't see it. It's not like it's like Marvel putting something out. But I think I want to say yesterday, or the day before yesterday, one of the VFX coordinators on the movie put out like a 30-second thing showing what they had accomplished, what they were aiming for, and everything for the movie. And I have to say, I can't believe that shit looks good. Actually, like I would, I honestly would have believed, like, if you had shown me that like 10 years ago, I'd have been like, what movie? I was like, what Spider-Man movie is that for?
Yeah.
And it looks a bit, if I have to say, halfway between Andrew Garfield and the Spider-Man video game, like somewhere in between those two.
Yeah, that looks like next gen, like not this Spider-Man video game that's coming up, Spider-Man 2, but like let's say like the Spider-Man game that comes like on PS6 that looks like the cutscene, like a
Right.
cutscene.
Yeah, no, well, and again, it's not surprising that there's quality because the VFX people that are working on it, they do work in the industry. So that tells you kind of what kind of money and what kind of effort was being put into this canceled project. But I mean, now I'm like, I kind of do wish I had seen the movie now because it looks pretty damn good. It's just cool what fans can come up with, but also it tells me something else about the stuff that we watch, which is holy shit, it takes a lot of work to make 30 seconds of to make 30
Yep.
seconds of web swinging. That's a lot of damn work. Like,
Yep.
and we're sitting up here watching a Thor movie that's got VFX, for the vast majority of the movie, or even She-Hulk. Like, if you heard people being like, "Oh, the CG sucks in this," I'm like, I just kind of want to sit people. I'm like, you sit down in front of a computer and try to make that work on such a short time. VFX is hard, and so
Yeah.
like as good as this is, and I think this is great. I think it also, like, we should be really thanking our VFX artists because, man, they work their ass off to make shit look mostly real.
Yeah.
And so I'll just say this: hats off to those guys, and I hope that this is something they can use as a resume builder or something like that. If they don't, or just be like, hey, I did that, because these guys need to be getting more work. Hell, get more. Sony, what are you doing? Hire these guys. Go get these guys. They were doing some shit, So, congratulations, you guys. All right. So let's talk about Batman the animated series. Lottie, am I wrong? First of all, one of the greatest animated shows ever. That's in the top 3 for me in Batman, ever, live action, animated, whatever. And just all around a classic. As the kids say nowadays, it's goated.
Jesus. Oh God.
Wait, I did. That's what hey. I'm just relating what the kids say. It's goated. Came out. I can't believe it's came out 30 years ago, man. It's that how'd that happen that it came out 30 years ago? I remember watching it on TV in its first run back in the day, and I can't believe 1992. Good God! And it was just so different. Like, and when I say so different in terms of cartoons, it took a lot of its cues from the '89 Batman, but it was so different in the sense that here's an animated superhero show that had ongoing storylines, that had character progression, that was a little more serious, that dealt with a lot of, there were some issues, some things as a kid you didn't see before in a cartoon,
Yeah, it's the first superhero cartoon I'll say downright. It was the first superhero cartoon that was ever made that was not cheesy. Because usually superhero cartoons, when we were growing up, well, when you were growing up, I've seen them, but when you were growing up, they were very cheesy. They were not taken serious at all. It had the little belly ache laugh at the end, like ha ha ha. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yep.
laughing into the
Like
sky.
Super Friends or
Nothing,
something. Yep.
nothing ever seemed like in danger or dark or like nothing like it was very a very light hearted show.
Yeah.
Then this show comes around, it is nothing like that. It's dark, like it is very dark. It's nighttime. Batman is like fear is there's fear in
Mm-hmm.
like thugs eyes whenever they see Batman. You know what I mean? It's like the Joker looks like a clown, like an actual like killer. And even though there was like no like death or anything, but the Joker's gas mask stuff used to creep me out, man. I think it would have been actually more or less traumatizing to kids that the people just died if they got hit by it instead of
Mm-hmm.
having that permanent sickening grin on their face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It. I think it cannot be. I don't think it can be understated. This was a hugely influential series, and it it was it Paul Dini, Bruce Timm, and there's many more people. I mean, I've watched a documentary about it before. These guys love the comics, and they're trying to make bring what was cool and what was interesting in the comics into this animated world in a way that was accessible to young, to kids, but also to grown-ups, and highly stylized the world. So, like, they had that whole weird like in between. Is it the 40s, 30s? When is this actually taking place? Gotham City
Yeah.
itself had such character. You had a huge rogues gallery. They ran through the Batman's rogues gallery and made every one of them interesting. Like I said, ongoing storylines. They introduced Harley Quinn. They created Harley Quinn, who's such a huge part of the Batman and DC universe now.
Yeah.
In this show, she was so interesting that they had to make her and put her into the comics themselves. And of course, we got again, as the kids would say, we got some goaded uh, talent in this too. Kevin Conroy is considered by many fans to be the Batman, the best Batman. He's just the voice, but considered to be the Batman. And Mark Hamill as the Joker, right? And
Yep.
many more characters. You got an amazing Selena Kyle in this, right? I mean, you got Jim Gordon, you got Batgirl, and there's so many, Robin, so many things in this that are carrying over. Like 30 years later, it is still the waves it was, the ripples it caused are making waves throughout, down into other things. If I'm not mistaken, it is influential. It was influential on Christopher Nolan, doing his Batman. So, I mean, it's considered to be a classic for a reason. And if you didn't grow up watching it, I don't. It doesn't even matter. You can start if you could never have seen one episode of that. I challenge anyone who's never seen an episode of the Batman the Animated Series. Go watch one of them right now, and I guarantee you'll just be like, "This came out 30 years ago," and I'll be like, "Hell, yeah, we were living in a golden age at the
Yeah.
time." I mean, and what's so funny about it? X Men, the X Men cartoon was coming out at the same time, right? They were around the same time, and people swear by that. But I'm telling you, it's not even. It's Batman animated series blows that shit out the water. As
Oh
much
yeah. I
as
mean, it's
much as
not
I
even a
liked it,
debate.
yeah, it's not
The
even
X Men
close.
cartoon is good, but it's. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna just tell you right straight up. Some people might disagree with me. Marvel was not touching DC back then. Like there was good Marvel shows back then, like you said, the Spider-Man '90s show, X-Men. But I mean, no, it was DC was at a whole nother level with the Batman, Superman. Then they
Yeah,
came out with the 2003 Justice League, which, in my opinion, is the greatest animated superhero show of all time. In my opinion,
and it all became because of Batman the
An
animated
animated
series.
series.
And
Yeah.
and the other thing is, it spawned Batman Beyond, which is also considered by fans to be one of the great comic book story, cartoons.
Yep.
Just I'm we're just singing his praise. The point is, Batman the animated series turns 30, and it is still one of the best things, and we love it. And so what do you guys think about it? You know, y'all should go check it out and kind of leave your comments down below. And finally, we're ending on a high note or low note or a twerk note, if you will, because we have to talk about this quote controversy that's got nerds, incel nerds losing. I'm gonna assume it's incels. I'm sure it could be other people, but let's just call them out. Losing their fucking minds because She-Hulk and Megan Thee Stallion were twerking in a post-credit scene, not in court, not in the midst of an important scene, not in the regular show, in a post-credit scene. Right? That's Lottie. I don't know if have you been seeing this foolishness about people losing their minds about this?
Yeah.
It wasn't even in the main show. It's this is let me to put it in perspective. You remember at the end of Spider-Man, end of what is it? Doctor Strange, the post credit scene where the pizza ball Papa was punching himself. That was the end credit. Be like them complaining about that being the post credit scene, except unlike that, there's a big old helping of sexism that's fueling a lot of this bullshit. I wanted to spend this time more or less shit talking and calling out the foolishness for what it is. So Lottie, were you offended by the twerking? Did that bother you? Were you did it make you question if Marvel is going downhill?
Honestly, I honestly have no opinion on it. I mean, it honestly that most it just made me cringe a bit.
And it should have.
It just made me cringe a bit because it looked she looked weird doing it. It was just like whatever. But honestly, I'm gonna tell you, there's not just men. There are a lot of women that are upset with this because the thing about it is the women's like I don't really want to go too deep into it, but the women's like empowerment movement is literally split down the middle. And there's the two sides of it. And Jennifer Walters is embodying the side of the women that don't want to gain anything off of their sexuality, their looks. You know what I mean? Their look, sexuality, all that stuff. They want if they could look as unsexually appealing as possible, that's what they are. And that's the side that women believe Jennifer Walters was on. Then there's the side of Megan Thee Stallion. Women that believe that they should make as much money off of their sexual looks, bodies, their tone, their songs, all that stuff. They believe they have the right to make as much money off of their sex, whatever. I have both sides all right. Women have the right to feel anyways by that. But I can see where I'm like, because I was looking at it, I can see why there are women who felt that Jennifer Walters is now contradicting herself by doing it. I'm like, well, I don't care, but I can see why they're saying, oh, it's why is she contradicting herself? Her twerking now says she wants to use her sexual thing, and I'm like, well, I mean, she was twerking in her office, you know. She was
Basically.
twerking in her office. But it's the thing that it was just like, I felt like the people who were doing the show, the fact that they zoomed in on it, I was just like,
Oh,
all right,
and
now.
it was intentional too. By the way,
Yeah, I was just like,
the director
you'd
of the
have
show
to
was
do
like,
that.
there's a female director. And she's like, no, you guys, y'all are stop trying to get away from it. because I watched this. I thought it was funny, and I was like, oh shit, Megan Thee Stallion or whatever. Obviously, you're gonna have to twerk or whatever, and they did the song, and it's clearly we're having some fun. I saw some behind the scenes pic. It's they're having fun with it. Okay,
Yeah.
the thing that I don't agree with this whole because she was talking about men catcalling or whatever, she can't now twerk. No. In what way are those mutually exclusive? Like she can't twerk because if she somehow does, because she called out men for being assholes, for being sexist assholes. Now she can't do anything that is sexually suggestive, or in other words, go out looking good or whatever, or show off her butt or twerk, because that undermines that. Only if you think only the woman can only be in a burqa or a hijab, or she can just have her shit all out. That's no there's no contradiction there. She wasn't going out and twerking in front of. She's literally in her office having fun with her new client, who was just she's a big fan of, and they were like, yeah, let's dance and celebrate, all right. And what if there were guys walking by or whatever that happened to see it go on? Does that mean that they're now free to catcall because they see them doing it, even though they're clearly not doing it for those guys? That's the problem. Is that the problem here is that us men, and I know I'm a victim of it too. I do this too. We see this as a reason. Women are there for us to ogle or somehow have some kind of entertainment or whatever value. We're objectifying them. This is kind of our thing. Like, it's hard for us to get past it, but we do it. But because men objectify women, women have to somehow police themselves around us. Why? Why? That's what kills me about this, is that there's all this stuff. Like, it's not just it's that stuff too. And then people talking about Stanley rolling, turning in his grave, even though the motherfucker literally was a strip club DJ in Deadpool. But y'all go on with your about what Stanley would be doing. This is the biggest non-controversy possible, and at its root is, even the women that may be having their issues with this. There's sexism involved in this, because a guy, doing some kind, taking his shirt off and pumping his fist or whatever because he scored a touchdown or a goal or whatever. That's not sexual. So that's not sexual, even though he's clearly showing off his sexual character. What if he's just what they do, like in Generation X, thrusting their hips and doing like the suck it move? Yeah, it's not the same. There's no. To me, this shouldn't be even a thing. It's just something fun at the end of it. But some people have to make a big ass deal about it. And I think that some of it is because people have a fucking agenda about this and Marvel and other shows that are, allowing women to just sort of be who they are without having to make some big, moral judgment about whether or not they can just be who they are. That's the way I see it. And it's just watching this shit play out online has been so annoying. And I don't even want to call it frustrating. It's just annoying, because I'm just like, y'all just have an axe to grind and you're reaching for crap. Anyway, sorry. It's a very long thing. I've been very annoyed by that over the last few days. I don't know. Ladi, can She-Hulk recover from this?
I mean, the show's fine. I mean, I
It ain't
I
for
mean,
I'll say the show's not for everyone, but twerking should not, in no way should twerking be the reason why people say this show is crap. That had zero to do with the story. Which is, if you're watching this show, you should be watching it to see if the story's any good. The twerking at the end, nothing to do with the story. It was just a fun little thing that they threw in at the end, just to be funny and because Megan Thee Stallion was in there. That's it. And so if you're like, well, this is trash because of that, then I'm like, you don't really care about the story then, because the story already played itself out. You could have cut if you had, in fact, if most people had cut the episode off and never seen the twerking bit, would this even be a what would be they be complaining about then? I just want to know.
Hmm.
Anyway, fuck them. That's what I say. Fuck them. Like, if it's that easy for anyone to just like check out, then check out. Like don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. In fact, do let it hit you on the ass on the way out, uh, because fuck them. That's why. Anyway, I'm sure we're gonna get more. This is only episode 3. I'm sure we're gonna get much more. That's gonna have all of the fandom minutes losing their fucking mind. So I'm all for it. Let's go. So anyway, that's that's all of our news for this week. I'm sure there's something we missed, or maybe you just got something to say. Maybe you want to tell me about how wrong I am about the whole She-Hulk twerking thing. Be my guest. Get down to the comment section. Let us know what you think. And of course, you can always hit us up, supernotfunnyshow at gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And then we'll chop it up, talk about all of these items. Of course, while you're down there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the like on this video. Help us grow this channel. Help with that YouTube algorithm. That'd be pretty cool of you. And of course, I couldn't do this by myself. I'll need my good friend Ladi to help me out with all of these news items. So, Ladi, where can they reach you on social media?
You can always find me on my Instagram, which is Anukinihun. Is ANUKINIHUN. And again, you can also find me on my YouTube channel, which is Kinihun25. I constantly upload videos, pictures, art. So whenever you get a chance, you can stop by, leave a like, a subscribe, a comment, or follow.
Yeah, you guys go over there, show Lottie some love on his socials. That'd be really cool. And thank you to all y'all that tune into this and to the various other reviews and whatnot on this channel. Really appreciate what you guys are saying and liking and all that good stuff. That's pretty cool of you. So keep on doing that. Hit that notification bell to let you know when we drop more content. We do that every week. This podcast plus plenty of other reviews of shows that are going on. All right, all you Fabricants and Fleshbags, come back next week for episode 68 of the podcast. Till then, I've been Mode Poupée, your resident fabricant and comic extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Lottie. We'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.